Hey everyone, it's TB Shores. It's March the 18th, 2021. It's 12:06 a.m. I want to try to get another video. On the tail end of that last one, I had thrown something out there about this breaching. You know, this is about a breaching of the wall and destroying the temple. This breaching that's taking place by the enemy into this temple, breaching this wall of this body. I feel I'm being shown that that is the enemy's version of the tearing of the veil, as we see in, I believe it's Matthew 27, when Christ gave up the ghost and the veil was torn. Hopefully we'll get into that soon, because there's a lot of things that tie into that that actually go along with what we're fixing to talk about. And so hopefully that part of the study is not far away, because we're discussing behaviors, okay? We're discussing behaviors that are going to be something that is, and you'll see what I'm talking about when we get into this phrase, the midst of it and the midst thereof. These are behaviors that the things that the enemy wants to inflict and behaviors he wants to bring about. And so we'll continue on with what we were looking at. Now, we had just looked at mischief, and we could see that it's talking about trouble, wickedness, sorrow. It even mentions idolatry, iniquity, wickedness. When we come down here to the definition, the thing that had stood out to me, I think I mentioned, was this right here where it says to exert oneself, usually in vain, to come to naught. And what I feel I was understanding from that was about a weariness, about a wearing down of people, okay? Of course, we come on down here and we see words like affliction, evil, false, idle, iniquity, mourning or mourners. So these are all negative behaviors or feelings or emotions or actions that are being pointed out with these words we're looking at here. In this word sorrow, we saw pretty much the same thing, a few different things we can pull out of it. Toil, labor. We come down here, we see wearing, effort, grievousness, miserable and misery, painful, perverseness, wearisome. So we can see there's something very drastic happening, and okay, it all connects back to what we see going to be affected, this changing that's going to take place concerning the peak land and the building blocks, okay? Because remember, when the Lord took us on an in-depth look at what he wanted us to learn from day and night here, it was about learning this is about the peak land and the building blocks. Now, when this change concerning the peak land and the building blocks occurs, that's when we see this other stuff coming into play. We see all these negatives, okay? When we look down here at wickedness, we see that wickedness And I know y'all know, have an idea of what these words convey as far as understanding, but the point behind looking at them is understanding the magnitude of the negativeness and the evil and the misery that the enemy is wanting to bring about within by this manipulation of the peak land and the building blocks. So as we look at the word wickedness, okay, some things that stood out to me. First thing caught my attention was this right here. Engulfing, ruin, destruction, and calamity. Engulfing means to envelop, to overtake, to wrap around, to overwhelm. Engulfing with ruin, destruction, and calamity. Of course, there's just no limit to all those things, what they could mean. Of course, then when we get down here, we see pretty much the same thing in the definition section. But my reason for going into all these is to understand, just as we looked over here at the meaning of Shinar. Now remember, Shinar was where the Tower of Babel was set up. Okay, and Shinar means a breach. So it's about that breach where the building blocks are. Okay, and remember when we talked about this cast out a breach, the Lord was giving me the word plunder. And when I did a little homework, I come to realize this is about the hole in the wall allowing the enemy to rob and steal what doesn't belong to him. Okay, and then as we looked at the names that are variants of Shinar, and we come up here. Now I want you to look. It's like right here it is in the Hebrew. Here it is again. So, and the thing that connects, the reason I'm even showing this again, is because it connects with what we're seeing with misery, sorrow, and wickedness. Intense negative emotion and the experience of violence. Okay? This is all about what the enemy wants to create within these people. Okay? That they are able to breach their wall. The ones that are breached, there's a destruction going to take place. Not just, it's not just about a destruction of this flesh with sickness and disease and various things that can happen. With that, it's about a destruction of the spirit man, shutting off the voice of God, and the spirit man becomes very dark. Okay, it's about creating that darkness within people, because that is Satan. I guess that's the best way to put it. That's the enemy building up his army. Okay, that's one way to put it. I know I've had that come at me a few times during the study, and I believe that's what the Lord would have me to understand, that this is one of the avenues by which the enemy is building up his army. But we have to remember, in past studies, the Lord has shown me that the light and the darkness rise at the same time. The Lord will counter the darkness because people need the light. It is not, the time is not here yet to throw people into hell and be done with them. So there is a window here that it's going to be about a rising of both kingdoms. And we have to remember, it's very important to remember, this is about the day of the Lord, and the rising of his kingdom means that the light, his light, is going to spread and increase across the earth. So certainly we know that the light will overtake the darkness. So we know that he's not going to leave it just to where the darkness is rising and the light is not. So when we see what the enemy is trying to do within those he wants to bring to his side of this, bring into the darkness, because it's all about filling them with darkness. You got to remember that. It's all, and we see, let me see if I can find it right quick. It's in that scripture. Let's see, where is that scripture? The Matthew, I think it's right. No. It's in that Matthew 6 scripture. I believe it was right there. It is. Here we go. The scripture that talks about the light of the body is the eye, meaning that inner eye, okay, the eye of the mind, the third eye. The light of the body is the eye. If therefore thine eye be single, remember we went over that, and single meant one with God, okay? Thine eye be single, one with God, thy whole body shall be full of light, okay? The enemy wants to shut that off. And then it goes on to say, but if thine eye be evil, thy whole body shall be full of darkness. If therefore the light that is in thee be darkness, how great is that darkness? Okay, so this lets us know that eye, the enemy's goal is, we can see it's about the light and the darkness. Like what I said before, it's up to us. The Lord has put a measure, a degree of faith in every person. It's what they do with that matters. Okay, some will choose the light and some will choose the darkness, and that's what this right here is basically conveying, either through that inner eye, that spiritual eye, what lets us see not just in the physical like our two eyes do, but the inner eye that lets us seek out the things of the Lord and grow spiritually, grows that inner man. Okay, that is what the enemy wants to silence. And if people choose to let the light of the Lord in, then that inner man grows. But if they choose to let the darkness in, that inner man that should be growing, the spirit man, he becomes dark. Just like the dream that I had about the name Grayson, and gray represented spiritless, lifeless, soulless. That's what the enemy wants to create here. I'm going to cut this off, and we'll pick up in these scriptures and talk about these things some more in the next video. I love y'all. Bye-bye.